Afternoon, everyone. How are we doing? Good? Who was there last night at the mixer? Hands up. Had a good time? Lemon sorbet was good? Amazing. Favorite. Well, welcome, everyone, to this panel on AI investments in MENA. Thank you so much for my panelists to being here. We have about 15 minutes and very excited for this conversation. Just do a quick round of introductions. Let's do your name, what your main investment thesis is, and one word to describe AI for you right now. Let's start with Vikram.
Hi everyone, pleasure to be here. I'm literally fresh off the boat, so I was one of the 2 people who raised their hands, landed 1 month ago in Dubai. I was based in London for the last 10 years. I work for this firm called Unbound. We are growth stage investors. We typically come in at Series B, focusing primarily on B2B software and fintech. And the one word, I'll say which everyone is saying right now, a bubble.
What's that?
A bubble.
A bubble. Okay. We'll talk about that, yeah.
Hi, my name is Sonia Gokhale. I'm one of the founders and general partners at VentureSouq. VentureSouq is an early stage VC based in the MENA region. Regarding AI, I'm by no means any expert. We have actually VentureSouq experts in the audience here, so I might tap him in at some point. But Roba's here. But the one word I have to say is it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming, yeah.
Overwhelming, I can feel that for sure.
Yeah, so William, thank you so much for being here. I'd say for me, we're just really focused on revenue.
Awesome. Okay. Nice. So bubble, overwhelming revenue. So as you can see, there's quite already a contradictory of opinions here. Certainly, let's talk about that. So we're obviously seeing all of this investment going into OpenAI, Anthropic. Where in the cycle would you say we are when we look at AI innovation right now? Is it a bubble? Are we still early? Are we still experimenting? Are we in this scaling phase? How would you describe where we are in the cycle right now? Let's start with William.
Yeah, I'd say we're still pretty early. You know, I think there's technology, and then there's a list of problems. And the list of the problems usually stays about the same. What changes is the technology. And so in terms of the technology with AI solving the problems, there's a lot of opportunity, but it's not actually being realized yet. And then once you start solving those problems, then you get to the revenue part.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're very, very early. I think there's a lot of potential. There's a lot that can be done that's still going to be done, and it's actually very exciting to know that that literally by the week it's evolving. So we're still very early, and I think we'll consistently be very, very early if things are evolving at the pace that it currently is, which can be exciting and overwhelming at the same time because we just don't know what's coming next. If we're talking about valuations, which I'm not sure if we want to get into, the hype is real, right? And that kind of shows the early in an ecosystem or early when a hype, the hype is real. You are seeing insane valuations in AI, and that's because people just don't want to miss the boat. They're seeing there's so much happening, there is so much potential. And they're seeing it's evolving over time. The investors just want to get in now and will pay the price to do it for good companies.
Yeah. No, I think from the innovation point of view, totally in sync. I think we are still in the early stage. A lot of focus right now is on the software side. Hardware side is still something yet to be explored. We saw with DeepSeek how much value can be extracted just by optimizing the way you are creating GPU clusters. So I think that part of the equation is still, I would say, we have an incumbent. I don't know if we can call them an incumbent or not, but NVIDIA, which is gathering all the headlines. We are seeing how AMD is catching up. So I would say that part of the ecosystem is still untouched. So there's a lot to be done there. On William's point, I think I echo the sentiment. It's feeling as if we are slapping AI as a solution to all the problems that we are seeing, rather than getting excited about the problems and then figuring out if it's an AI native problem or not. So that's a very different way of thinking about whether you get excited about a long-term problem-oriented way of solving or serving customers, or just getting excited about a technology and slapping it left, right, and center.
Got it. So Sonia, you mentioned valuations. Let's talk about that for a second. I just realized I didn't introduce myself for the people who don't know me. I'm Peji from Carta. Carta supports about 65,000 companies globally with equity management valuations, and we publish a lot of data. It's completely free. You can check it out online. And we did publish a data point which was interesting around valuations of AI companies and non-AI companies. And for median pre-money valuations of Q2 last year, non-AI companies at seed stage was 12.7 million. AI companies was 18.9 million. It's a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
So when we think about kind of the valuation, the overvaluation, let's say, how is that? Do you think that's there to stay? Do you think we're going to normalize? How do you think about this valuation hype that we're in right now?
Okay, so I'd say for us, we don't really have the luxury of playing with the hype, because our investment's a set amount, and our valuation range is basically a set amount. And either the founders want the help or they don't want the help that we bring. We help with sales. So what we're seeing of the portfolio companies that we have backed is that we're really pushing them to be kind of like rational about things, because the easiest way to blow up your company is to raise it too high a valuation and then not have the traction come through. So, if you have sales, then you don't need so much money, hopefully. But let's have like a more step-by-step rational raise to the valuation. And so most of them are taking the advice, not all, but most of them.
I'll give you a little anecdote. I was in London last week, and I was with a global VC guy, and I have been asking all the bigger guys that have like $1 billion to invest and can spend the amount to get their ownership of a large valuation. I was like, "What are you guys doing in AI? How are you doing it?" And he's like, "Well, we got to play with the big guys, because otherwise there's no choice." They just invested in a company, didn't tell me the name, but it was a $200 million valuation for seed. And it was moving so fast, they didn't even go to IC. They had to like sign on the spot, and it was good founders that were starting up. So it's there, and people are doing it, and it's happening. We on the other side don't have that luxury. We're investing locally. We're investing in companies that are AI, that are using AI significantly to help even just build efficiencies to solve the problems they're doing. But they generally are not AI. Like, it's not that they're solving a problem with AI instead of the other way around. And even then, we're still seeing the companies that are heavily using AI or considered AI companies are getting a definite premium in valuation.
I don't know. We'll see how we perform in the coming years. But the memories of 2021 cycle are still very fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
To be very honest. So I think we were very careful in deploying capital at then. Very similar. I think all of us have a valuation range, whether you are at pre-seed, seed, growth.
Mm-hmm.
Because if for you, it's the ownership. For us, it's a check size on a risk-adjusted basis. So if someone is coming at 200 million, maybe seed, then clearly the growth investor will be expected to come in at $1 billion.
Yeah.
And how many companies actually get exits at $1 billion? It's hard. And the other point I would add is it's not just the private companies, even public companies. I think there was a recent analysis where, barring the 10 companies that are getting all the benefits of AI, the rest of the stock market in US has not performed well. And on a growth-adjusted basis, in fact, the multiples have gone down. So it's not just in the private market we are seeing this exuberance, it's also reflecting in the public markets. The one interesting trend we have seen is any founders who raised capital had to go through restructuring during the 21 cycle are very hesitant to raise at such lofty valuations.
Yeah.
They have seen the pain.
Mm-hmm.
The scars are still fresh.
Yeah.
The memories of sitting across the board with your investors and having tough conversations are still basically something that they relive every day. So they are very careful.
Yeah.
So I'm saying there is, you have to be very careful about which founders you get gravitated to and which founders get gravitated to you. And I think there's this careful balance that you have to maintain during these periods.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually. I think the memories of 21 still, and we're seeing that in the data of number of down rounds now. I think more than 20% of rounds now are down rounds, which is a result of the hype we had in 21. Right, let's bring it home. We have a lot of founders in the room. Talk to us about a recent deal you've done. It could be, a pure play AI company or a company who is, taking more of an AI approach. What convinced you to write the check for this company?
Okay. So while we are all basically thinking about this doomsday scenario with the AI valuations, we have taken a thesis or a stance where if so much money is going to be poured in AI, something good is going to come of it. However, a lot of bad also comes of it, especially in the early innings of any technology adoption. So we are spending a lot of time on cybersecurity. One of the key concerns that we have is while every part of the digital ecosystem is focusing on all of us in the room trying to adopt either digital payments, e-commerce, and other services, all of us are not protected at all the time by any cybersecurity solution. So we have backed a company called Whalebone. It's a Czech-based company which is distributing consumer security product via telecom. So their mission statement is to protect 1 billion customers. There have been some attempts in the past to protect consumers, but if you spend some time in the cybersecurity space, you will realize that app-based cybersecurity products have not been successful because you can't deliver patch updates every hour or so because none of us really update our apps that often. So via telcos is something that really excited us, and they're already working with 50 telcos. We are actually actively helping them come to the region. So hopefully in the coming, I would say, quarters, you will see some big announcements happening here.
Sure.
We invested in a Saudi-based company called Mozen, very AI-based company. Their main product is called Focal, which is AML compliant, anti-fraud. The great thing about them is it's very hyper-focused. It's based on local language, local data, local regulations, which is really, really important. And they can build that way. So and very heavily AI focused company. So extremely excited about that company, and they're doing very well, kind of solving similar in terms of hitting compliance particularly. We also invested in a company called Orbi, which provides credit solutions for companies, very heavily based on AI, using local data. So it's the kind of trend that we're seeing is that we're investing in AI companies that are hyper localized here, and they can grow very fast.
Yeah, so we have one, you mentioned earlier games. It's a Dubai company. They're in Orbit 8, so Dubai-based, Elevatix. And it's a little plug-in. You plug it into any sort of online game, and then it learns about what the users are doing, what they're clicking on, what they're interacting with, and it helps the game choose what to show them in terms of in-game purchases. So it's leveraging AI to just help optimize the game. And you basically plug this thing in, and it increases revenue by 15 to 20%. That's it. Okay, done. Yeah, so we're pretty happy with Elevatix.
Incredible. Yeah, it's so interesting to hear practical examples of investments you've done, and certainly the applications of AI on a regional basis. I think that's super exciting to see because these big AI players, incredible technology, but there's so many use cases and niches. We see in the translation space or in the fintech space locally here. There's a lot of opportunity. Last question. For companies that aren't AI first and they're in kind of different business lines, what advice do you have for founders to start thinking about shifting their business model or introducing AI into their company? The dominant logic there is cost efficiency and reduction, but at Carta we think a lot about leverage and how can you 10x using AI from a customer experience perspective, for example. What advice would you have for founders when it comes to AI for non-AI first companies?
Sure, I can start. So I think, to the extent possible, you should be using it as much internally. Even just, you can use it to interact with your customers, your clients, et cetera, which is great. You can wrap many solutions into your experiences. But you should be even using it just internally in your business. We ourselves have done that. Robo over there has brought in a lot of efficiencies in AI into our daily practices. So we're able to do everything more faster. You can use AI just to reduce your burn, which is huge on its own, right? So I would equate it to, like back in the day, not writing letters and not, using email. Like, you should be using it. It's a technology that's here and it's powerful. So, every company should be using it in some way or form, just to build efficiencies internally.
I think Sonia has well covered all the points on internal productivity hacks. I think it's not an option. I think it's a bit of a must-do situation, especially on the tech talent. I think, yes, there are the likes of Lovable and Cursors, which you can just leverage. And I think it helps in prototyping a lot quicker and faster with very minimal risk or deploying resources. I think in terms of, and we have a lot of companies who build SaaS solutions and who are now going through this journey. So one thing I would suggest is, I think two things actually. One, it's a long game. You should always reflect on why did you start the company. Cycles come and go. It's all about embracing the change and trying to make sure that you are staying relevant, and what makes you stay relevant is an important question to ask. But don't get distracted, because you don't want to change your entire business and just in 6 months the whole cycle gets killed and you're like, okay, you're back to square one. So that's, I think, something. And the other thing is, try and evaluate where the budgets of your customers are going. What has happened is people underestimate how difficult it is to release budgets from enterprises. They are set early in the year, so if you're a mid-cycle, no matter how hard you push, you're not going to be unlocking any more further budget. So try and understand where is the next budget opening up. And if there is a way for you to attack that budget, please do so with all the focus. That's very important, because that's where you start getting momentum. I think the worst thing that is happening to a lot of SaaS founders or companies which are not as AI native as people hope them to be is they have lost momentum. And picking momentum again is the hardest piece while building a company. So that's something that would definitely help them.
You want to take it?
So we're more into like, instead of telling, showing. So we did this exercise, Lean Startup Machine, which is a 2-day exercise where the founders basically research, do interviews, create a product, and get revenue in 48 hours. So you don't really have that much time to do much stuff. One of the founders who, he's got a student travel platform so kids can get to school, right? And he's like, how are we going to launch this test product for this other thing? So we gave him 5 no-code, products to choose from, and he built the product for the test thing in about 20 minutes. And then he started using it for his own company, and the next week he had all these dashboards and updaters and this little option where you can find your kid on a map, and it just rolled it out to all the parents in Egypt. So sometimes you don't really know what you don't know unless you actually use it, and the guy's head exploded. He's a finance guy. He's like...
Incredible. Vikram, Sonia, William, thank you so much for your insights. It's been very insightful. Thank you for the audience.